heaters and diesel heaters. So I'm going to talk about the diesel heater that I fitted on the boat. I've done this about 5 years ago. I had it installed on my first Seawych. Then when I got rid of that boat and got this boat, I took it out of that boat and put it into this one. So the second time I done it, I didn't make the same mistakes that I made the first time round. Now, the diesel heater that I've got, fortunately, I bought another one 2-3 years ago from my other boat. I've got another boat further up, much larger boat. And I bought this one 2-3 years ago to install it, and I never have done, but which is okay, which is good, because I can show you the components that I've bought. Now, the Chinese diesel heater comes with lots of stuff that you don't really need. This is what I was after. It's a 2 kilowatt, which for the size of the cabin in a Seawych is more than enough. 2 kilowatts is okay. In the winter, I leave it ticking over overnight on its lowest setting, and that is more than enough for this size cabin. I can't see any point in going 5 kilowatt or even 8 kilowatt. Some people say the bigger the better, but 2 kilowatt is enough. It uses overnight, not last night, previous night, it used between 1.5 litres of diesel and 1.8. It used somewhere between there overnight, and that's running for 15 hours. So how much the 5 kilowatt is, I don't know, but 2 kilowatt is what I've installed on here, and I don't regret that. Right, so with this in the package, you will get a bag of other stuff. Most of it is no good. The key things that I want to explain to you is the exhaust pipe clamps. These are the clamps that you want, them type. Okay, the ones that come with this diesel heater are Jubilee clips. You don't want Jubilee clips, you want exhaust hose clamps, which is what those are. So the Jubilee clips can go in your garden shed ready for your hose pipe. The silencer, no good. It's got a tiny breathing hole in it, which you cannot use in a boat. In the bottom, I don't know if you can see that, there's a small hole to let the condensation out. That will breathe into your boat. You don't want that. That can go in the bin. It'd be all right in the van when it's under the floor pan on a car, but not in a boat. That is what I got. Silencer. That's what I've installed on this boat. That cost more than the diesel heater. You will find this. All the ancillaries cost more than the diesel heater itself. I also bought the stainless skin fitting that goes on the transom for the exhaust pole. This is what comes with the diesel heater, the fuel line, in a bin. I did install this on the first boat. I think it lasted about 3 months, and then it started like crazy. There was all little cracks coming in the pipe, no good. The ones you want, Ebbs Packer fuel line. So bin the original and buy the Ebbs Packer fuel line. I also got a silencer that goes on the end of the air intake. That helps a lot. It does cut the noise down a fair bit. You will, going back to the exhaust pipe, you will need more pipes of this. I will show you the length runs that I've got when we actually look at what I've installed on here. The filter that came with it broke. The fuel filter, that broke, just snapped off. Cheap Chinese jobby, no good. You want to go out and buy yourself a decent one. Here we have bags of bits and pieces. Most of it's no good. Anything steel, get rid of, you don't want them. You need stainless, so all the nuts and bolts and everything else you need to get stainless, don't use what comes with it. The fuel tank, whatever I've done with it. Right, I've used this fuel tank on this boat. I'm not entirely happy with it. If I could change it, I think I would now, if I could go back and do it again. You've got a fuel line that comes out the bottom, that little square there. I've mounted mine so it's set that way, with the fuel line coming out here. I've not had a problem with the tank itself. It seems quite strong, seems okay, I haven't had a problem. It's here. You get this little pipe fitting. In fact, it's probably rattling around inside. And I can't get it out. Yeah, there. There's no tap on it. It comes out and goes straight onto the pipe. If you needed to isolate it, it'd be better to have a tap. If you needed to isolate it, you couldn't. If the pipe starts leaking, you can't shut the fuel off. So I think I would rather find an alternative where you had a tap. I was thinking maybe like an outboard fuel tank, I think would probably do it. Right, you will need extra ducting, and you will need pipe lagging, which is on the other boat. There's like a sock that the exhaust pipe goes through. I bought, how many is that? 3 metres, 5 metres, something like that. You will need ducting. I have used these, which is a directional outlet for the hot air. Diverter. That's what I've got. So you can divert the air whichever side you want it to go. I do have 2 outlets, and I also have the control cable for that ducting, so it can vent to the bed or to the floor, because that's where they lead to. I'll show you all that. Right, this controller, I haven't got this type controller on mine. Mine's much more simple, smaller. This one's one where you get that turning wheel thing that comes on it. Very bright. I would have said if you needed to get up and use the loo in the night, you wouldn't need to put the lights on with one of these glowing. It is bright. I don't know how much of a drain on the battery it's using, but I didn't go for this option. The one I've got on here is much smaller, not so bright. So I'll have a little tidy up this lot, and then I'll show you what I've installed on here. Fuel tank stands under here. Now, I positioned it where I needed it to go, and then I used expanding foam to hold it in place so it won't move around. That's now in there solid. I put some on the bottom, some around the back, and also, I can't really show you on here because it's too dark in there, but also some against this back wall, against there, that holds it, so it's pinned front and back, and also from underneath. Then I used a fiberglass filler around here. I could have made a better job really, but it's done the job and it sealed it up. And then the bog standard patented pot noodle pot over there to stop any water from, oh, now I can't get it off, going down that tiny hole. I don't want any rainwater or seawater in the tank. That's kept it nice and dry. Stop contamination. Okay, so that's where the fuel tank goes. The exhaust outlet is there. I'll show you from the inside, but that is where I've fitted it. That's on the inside. I've used CT1 on them nuts and bolts that hold it in, so it doesn't leak from the outside. I did have a leak from up here, but I've replaced this now. but that's where that you can see the water runs. That's where it leaked from. But that's been fixed now. The fuel line is here. This is where the fuel pump is. Now this thing goes donk donk donk. It makes a hell of a noise. The best way I found to get over that was, now I've installed this a couple of times on the other boat, trying to move it around to cut the noise down, and this is the best way I found of doing it. So we have a screw comes through here. That screw is screwed down tight. This thing is loose. If you put that up tight against the moulding, this acts as a drum, and that's what you hear all night. This way it's not, because it's kind of floating. It doesn't, the vibration doesn't go through the moulding so much, and it's cut the noise right down. So this I found was the best way of doing it. They're not crimped up tight. That's why I had to put 2 nuts on that one to hold it, because they were loose. They just used to unwind, but now they don't. The air intake for the combustion chamber is here. That's the silencer on the end of it. That's cut the noise down a lot. The exhaust, there's the mounting bracket for that one. That's, in fact, it fits that way. So that's the mounting bolt, and that's what it goes through there. The exhaust line, the exhaust pipe, I can't really show you. It is all lagged. I've lagged the whole lot. I don't know if you can see this or not. I'll edit it out if you can't, but I've lagged everything. So it goes through there. So this comes through the bulkhead up in this corner. A bucket of cleaning stuff. So that comes through there. The exhaust from the chamber comes from there, and the fuel line goes through there, as well as the power line that goes to the pump. That's where I've installed them on here. Right, the diesel heater itself inside is mounted behind this bulkhead, and here's where it's mounted through these bolts here. That is this plate. Oh, okay, so this is a view from inside. I've taken off the ducting just so you can be able to see a bit more of how I've done it. Now you can see that I've used the lagging on the exhaust. That you definitely need from front to back. You definitely need lagging. The air intake on the back for the hot air ducting, the intake, sorry, is over the back, and that feeds under that gap there, and it ends under there. So it's sucking the cold air from underneath the cockpit, which comes out hot air from here, which will go into your ducting to wherever you want it to go. When the hot air's blown out, it will come into here. One of them, it divides off. One of them comes under here, through there, into that side there, through that locker, and comes out here. That's blowing the hot air out across the floor. The other one comes up here, down to here, and through the duct that I've got there. So the diffuser's here. This blows out warm air across the bed. Right, the wiring. This is wired direct to the battery. It cannot be isolated from a breaker or a switch, so it can't be accidentally turned off mid-cycle. That would be catastrophic if this turned off. while it was running. It is fused here with a 20 amp fuse. The wiring, well, it splits off really. You've got the one from the controller, which I mounted up here. This is a much smaller, simpler one that I showed you. It's not as bright. It's much more simple. I can't adjust it. It's either on 2 kilowatt or 2 points. No, it actually runs from 1.5 kilowatt up to 2.5. The lowest setting is perfect for like a long distance run if you was going overnight. The lowest setting is enough. I put it on high power to start with to warm the place up, and then I turn it down once it gets warm. It doesn't have a thermostat that changes it for you, which is fine by me. I prefer it more simple really. Right, the other thing I wanted to show you is, which was really important, CO2 monitor. Here it is. If anything was to happen with the exhaust gases during the night and the exhaust line was leaking, I want to know about it. I don't want to be breathing that stuff in. No thank you. Good night it would be if you started to breathe that in. Okay, so this time last year I was out for a few days. I was anchored up around the estuary, and I went to bed one night. I mean, at the moment the nights are still longer than the days, and the diesel heater was permanently running. I went to bed at night, and when I woke up in the morning, the early hours of the morning, the heater wasn't running. So I had a look, and the battery had gone flat in the night when I was asleep. When the voltage had got down to about, I think it was 9.9 or 9.8 volts, the diesel heater ran through a shutdown mode. So it turned itself off, the fan kept going until it was cool enough to completely shut down. So luckily enough, it did shut itself right down. Whether all the Chinese diesel heaters do that, I don't know, but my one did, and I was very glad it did. For it to just shut down mid-cycle, it would melt it. All the plastic casing would start melting because the heater's got nowhere to go without the fan blowing. So just a point to note that mine did run through the shutdown mode. So to summarise, most of the ancillaries that come with the cheap Chinese diesel heater, bits like that, need to be binned, and you need to buy the purpose-made stuff for it from eBay. Stainless steel, last a lifetime. You know it's going to do the job. You need to make sure that the power is permanently fed live from the battery to the unit. The lagging you need to get around the exhaust pipe from front to back. In total, you're going to need two pipes, one from the unit to the silencer, and then from the silencer to the skin fitting, and that needs to be lagged. I've got the sock type that goes over it, and then I bought the bandaging that went round it. That exhaust line does get hot, very hot. It will burn you if you touched it. So that's all lagged. It's not going to do any damage to the fiberglass, and with the proper pipe clips it's not going to leak. Yeah, one of the best things I ever did was fit a heater on this boat. I don't regret it at all. The winter is so much more comfortable now. It's so much drier inside the boat. So yeah, if you're looking to install one, you know, there's some points that I've made that I've noted that, you know, have really helped me out. If it helps you out too, then all well and good. Like I say, I'm no expert. I'm a DIY kind of, I wouldn't say bodger, because I do have some skills. But hopefully, you know, this has given you some information that you need to know for what I've done, and it works. So until next time, tide's coming in by the look of it. Yeah, tide's coming in. So looks like I'm going to go out for about an hour or two, have a little run out. That's what it's all about. Till next time. Laters.